Hi folks, this is Dr. Jay Whelan, back again, also known as Dr. JB, and I want to discuss the subject of my Hummingbird feeder in terms of the design and function of this feeder that my son Chris and I designed. Our feeder is made into three parts. The jar cap is the top part, and you can unscrew this and then place this on your counter, on your kitchen counter, for filling the nectar and the water into this. The hanger folds up into a little place to allow this to sit flat on your counter in the kitchen. Okay, the feeder base comes apart in the red cover and the teal base, and it's very simple. Put your fingers on the outer rim and you can push with your thumb just to take this apart into two parts. Now, some of my customers have said that it was a little bit tight, just like a jar cap on a jar, and in that case you can take this two-part base and put it on the kitchen counter and put your palms of your hand on the outside and push down, and now this comes apart very simply so that it's easy to separate for the two parts. Take this into the two parts. This can be easily cleaned once a week with a toothbrush. Just by brushing this down, the mold is usually not a problem if you change this within a week's time, that you can get this out just by using a toothbrush. Run this under warm water, and from the teal base you can also take the toothbrush and put it into the crevices here easily, and it's easily cleaned with a toothbrush. And this has a wide mouth jar, easy to clean and easy to fill. You can actually take a toothbrush, and this is the way I clean it most of the time without placing it in the dishwasher, although if it gets real dirty and full of mold, then you can put this in the dishwasher. It's dishwasher safe. Now I want to show you some of the features of the teal base that are important to determine the nectar level. The jar actually screws into this ring-like effect here, but if you look at these three stops, are what they called, the jar sets right against those. That determines the level of the nectar in the base, in this teal base, and the nectar flows out in between these stops. Now, after we fill the sugar water up to this curve, with this sitting in the countertop, you turn this over and you just screw this onto the jar. No, you don't have to do it tight, because though the jar will go against those stops I've talked to you about, and you turn this over 180 degrees in the hanging position. Now, do not hold it over to where the nectar comes out this petal, because then you've created an overfilled condition. As I've mentioned before, when you turn it over 180 degrees, you will notice that the nectar level is low compared to the ridge of this teal base, and that acts like a dike. It holds the nectar in. It's 20 millimeters below the petal, so that the hummingbirds can reach the nectar, but it deters bee activity because they can't reach the nectar. Now, if you were to tilt the feeder until you see the nectar flowing out this petal, then you're going to create an overfilled condition. And if you look at my other base, you'll see that the nectar is all the way up to the top of the dike, or the top of the ridge of this base. This allows it to overfill into the seal, and then you're going to end up with some moisture underneath where you're going to notice some bee activity, as I can demonstrate in some of my photos, under surface, and you'll also have bee activity adjacent to the petal. Now, I've discussed how we're taking care of bee problems, and in order to deter ants, which is another insect problem, there is an ant moat, which is this cup that you see with a screw on the bottom and a screw on the top, a little hook. And this will connect to the shepherd's crook, and this will hook on to the hook of the feeder, and you place water into this ant moat, and ants will not cross water. So now we've taken care of preventing ants from reaching the nectar. So in conclusion, I've just discussed the features and design of Dr. JB's Clean Feeder. You can check out my website at www.drjbs.com if you have any other questions. And finally then, I would like to thank Dr. Dan Morrow, who has provided the video equipment and is responsible for producing this video. Thank you, Dr. Morrow.